Kristen, this is how wars ultimately get settled. If you go back to World War II, if you go back to World War I, if you go back to every major conflict in human history, they all end with some kind of negotiation.
On this episode of Code Blue in America, the breaking news segment, ladies and gentlemen, gather round. Vice President J.D. Vance has stepped up to the microphone again, and this time, he's decided to give us a brand new history lesson. According to Vance, if you go back to World War II, or any major conflict in human history, they all ended with some kind of negotiation. Negotiation! Yes, you heard right. Apparently, Hitler, Roosevelt, Stalin, Churchill, they all just sat around a table and said, "Hey guys, how about we split the check and call it even?" Now, either there's a dead brain cell doing the driving up there in the VP's head, or he's so deep in the rabbit hole of nationalist revisionism that he thinks Allied forces won the war with a politely worded email to Berlin. Because newsflash, World War II didn't end with a negotiation. Germany surrendered unconditionally. Japan surrendered unconditionally. They didn't haggle over terms like it was a yard sale. Let's play this out the way Vance seems to imagine it. Picture this: Adolf Hitler at a negotiating table, chain-smoking, saying, "Okay, Allies, you bombed the heck out of my country, Russia's marching in from the east, Americans from the west, but here's the deal, how about I just kill myself in a bunker and we call it a draw?" Or Japan saying after Hiroshima and Nagasaki, "All right, America, you got us. You drop 2 nukes on our cities, we'll drop a coupon for 20% off sushi night and we'll call it even." Ridiculous, right? That's because history is very clear. These wars ended in blood, sweat, and unconditional surrender, not cocktail hour diplomacy. And if you think I'm being too harsh, don't take my word for it. Go read the Potsdam Declaration. The Allies literally told Japan, surrender now, or face prompt and utter destruction. That's not a negotiation, that's an ultimatum with mushroom cloud punctuation. Yet somehow, in 2025, the Vice President of the United States is telling the world the Allies basically talked it out over coffee. Now here's where the humour wears thin, because it's not just J.D. Vance fumbling a history exam, it's the Trump administration using this nonsense to justify its stance on Ukraine. They're saying, see, wars end in negotiation, so Ukraine should probably start talking compromise. Compromise? With Russia? That's like telling your burglar, "Hey, instead of stealing everything, why don't we just give you the living room and half the kitchen, and we'll shake hands on it." Even President Zelensky himself called Vance too radical and suggested maybe he should hit the books and study how World War II actually ended. Because here's the lesson: appeasement doesn't stop aggression, it invites more. Chamberlain tried that with Hitler in 1938. You know how that turned out. Spoiler alert, it didn't end in negotiation, it ended in tanks rolling into Poland. The backlash to Vance's remarks has been brutal. The Daily Beast mocked him for embarrassing himself. The Times of India asked, "Do they teach history in Ohio?" Social media? Oh, social media had a field day. Memes popped up everywhere. Hiroshima captioned with, "Negotiation, J.D. Vance style." One tweet just said, "Someone tell that to Nagasaki. Even the comedians are having trouble keeping up with how bad this looks." And here's the part that makes me nervous. Is this ignorance or is it intentional? Because if it's ignorance, that's terrifying. The Vice President of the United States doesn't understand the most important war of the last century. But if it's intentional, that's even worse. It means the Trump administration is deliberately rewriting history, softening the edges of what unconditional victory looks like, to sell Americans on the idea that maybe Ukraine should cut a deal, maybe Russia deserves a piece of the prize. That's not history, that's propaganda. So let me be crystal clear. World War II didn't end with negotiation. It ended with Nazis on trial at Nuremberg, Japanese leaders signing surrender documents on the deck of the USS Missouri, and the world saying, never again. To pretend otherwise is not just sloppy, it's dangerous. Because if we let leaders rewrite the past, they'll rewrite the present. And that, my friends, is how democracies stumble into disaster. And that's the cold truth on Code Blue in America, only on OGM News. I am Sarah. See you again soon.
friends, here's the deal. We need your support to level up our game. How can you help? Simple. Like, share, and drop a comment. Shower us with your love, your applause, or even your brutally honest displeasure. We can take it, we promise. Your feedback fuels us, even if it stings a little. And before you dash off, go ahead and smash that subscribe button on YouTube. Follow us everywhere: Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. Heck, if you're feeling retro, send us a carrier pigeon or a smoke signal. Stay awesome, stay witty, and we'll see you next time.